Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be doing something that we've never done before. It's something I should have done a long time ago, but for whatever reason, I just never got around to doing it. But like they say, there's no time like the present. So today we're going to be exposing 6 of the biggest lies that anti-gunners love to spread. And trust me, some of these are so ridiculous, they'll make career politicians jealous. Yeah, I know. Dad jokes are wild today. So lie number 1, the Second Amendment only applies to militias. Now this one gets thrown around all the time. The Second Amendment is only for militias. They point to the word militia and think like, I don't know, that's some mic drop moment, right? Oh my God, it says militias, but no, that's not what the word militia meant at the time that it was written. So let's go ahead and break it down for you. The full text of the Second Amendment says, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Now, here's the important part. The word militia, again, does not mean the government, or it doesn't mean the National Guard. It doesn't mean the Army, the military. It means nothing of the sort. The Militia Act of 1792 defines the militia as every able-bodied male citizen capable of bearing arms. That means the people, we are the militia. And then just to top it off, in DC versus Heller, the Supreme Court case of 2008, the Supreme Court made it crystal clear. The right to keep and bear arms is an individual right, not a collective one. So no, you don't have to join the military to own a firearm. The founders didn't put this amendment in there to protect the government from itself. That makes absolutely no sense. They put it in there to protect the people from tyranny. Lie number 2, the founders only meant muskets. Ah, yes, the classic, they only had muskets back then argument. Well, guess what? When the First Amendment was written, people only had quills and parchment. So does that mean that free speech doesn't apply to the internet? Should the government regulate your tweets because the founders didn't have Wi-Fi? Of course not. The founding fathers weren't some short-sighted idiots. They knew that technology would evolve, and that's why they didn't say the word muskets, and that's why they didn't say the word flintlocks in the Second Amendment. What they said was the word armed, a broad, all-encompassing term that applies to firearms of all kinds. And let's not forget that back in the day, civilians could own literally the same weapons as the military. Private citizens were known to have cannons. They were known to have cannons on their warships, and they were known to have multi-shot firearms before the Revolutionary War even started. The Second Amendment has never been about restricting technology. It's about preserving the right to self-defense no matter which era you live in. Lie number 3, the Second Amendment is about hunting. God, if I had $1 for every time someone said, nobody needs an AR-15 to hunt deer, I could probably buy a whole gun store by now. But here's the thing, guys. The Second Amendment has nothing to do with hunting. Nothing, because nowhere in the Constitution does it say the right to bear arms shall not be infringed as long as it's for duck season. The Founding Fathers weren't worried about your right to bag a 10-pointer. They were making sure that tyranny never took root in America. The Second Amendment is about defending yourself. It's about defending your family, and it's about defending your country. It ensures that if an oppressive government ever rises up, or if foreign invaders ever land on our shores, God help them, the American people will be armed, just like we were in 1776. And before someone says, that'll never happen here, just remember that every dictatorship in history started by disarming its citizens first. Hitler, Stalin, Mao, all of them took away their guns before cracking down on their people. The Second Amendment literally exists so that history never repeats itself here. Lie number 4, gun control makes people safer. So literally, gun control is marketed as common sense or for your safety, but here's the inconvenient truth. It does not work. Look at the places with the strictest gun control. I don't know, Chicago, New York, Washington, D.C. They all have some of the highest violent crime rates in the country. Meanwhile, states with constitutional carry, much, much, much lower violent crime. And you want to know why? It's because criminals don't follow the law. That's the definition of a criminal. They don't follow the laws. Gun control only disarms law-abiding citizens. It doesn't disarm criminals. So when gun control only disarms law-abiding citizens, it turns them into easy targets for people who don't care about breaking the law in the first place. Lie number 5. Well-regulated means government control. So now this one is the favorite talking point of pretty much all gun control activists. They love to say, well, the Second Amendment says well-regulated, so that means the government is supposed to regulate guns. Wrong. That is not what well-regulated meant in the 18th century. So let's take a look at what it actually meant when the founders wrote well-regulated in the Second Amendment. Back in the 1700s, the phrase well-regulated didn't mean government restrictions like it does today. It meant something functioning properly, efficiently, and in good order. So when the Second Amendment talks about a well-regulated militia, it simply means a trained and prepared militia, the armed citizens of the country being ready and capable of defense. It does not mean the government should pass endless laws to control who owns guns, what guns they can own, or how they can carry them. In fact, the last 4 words of the Second Amendment, come on, say it with me because it's crystal clear, shall not be infringed. All right, lie number 6. The Second Amendment is outdated and should be repealed. And then finally, the biggest lie of them all, the Second Amendment is outdated. It should be repealed. Let me ask you this. Do you think freedom of speech is outdated? Do you think freedom of religion is outdated? No? Then why would you think that the right to self-defense is outdated? The Bill of Rights isn't a list of suggestions. It's a warning to the government. The moment we start throwing out constitutional rights, we open the door to losing them all. And history shows us what happens to unarmed populations, whether it's Nazi Germany or Soviet Russia or Venezuela. Every tyrannical government started by disarming its citizens. That's why the Second Amendment is more relevant today than ever before. So there you have it. 6 of the biggest lies about the Second Amendment completely destroyed with facts. But now I want to hear from you. What's the biggest gun control myth that you've heard? Drop it in the comments and let's keep that conversation going. And guys, if you enjoy content like this where I bring you Second Amendment related videos, please consider smashing that like button and subscribing if you haven't already done so. Because trust me, we got plenty more to talk about. Guys, stay armed, stay safe, and I'll see you on the next video. Take care, y'all.